I get it when you're planning a wedding reception, a community fundraiser, or just a backyard jam session. The last thing you want is to waste a good chunk of money on a PA system that ends up sounding thin or breaks down halfway through the night. You've probably Googled portable PA speaker for 200 people a dozen times, watched a few YouTube demos, and are now staring at a list of options that all promise crystal clear sound and easy transport. It's a classic case of hesitation. Do you go for the cheap 12-inch box that looks like a subwoofer on wheels, or do you invest in a brand that's known for professional-grade gear? Link is in the description if you want to check the product details on Amazon. Let's walk through what the QSC K8.2 pair actually brings to the table, where it shines, and where you might want to keep looking. First off, the K8.2 isn't just another speaker you'd see in a high school band room. QSC built these around an 8-inch driver paired with a proprietary waveguide, which essentially focuses the sound so you get a wider, more even coverage without having to crank the volume into the stratosphere. The spec sheet says 105 degrees coverage, and in real-world terms that means you can set the two speakers side by side on a stage or a banquet table and still fill a room that holds roughly 250 people without a noticeable dead zone. I tried them at a small corporate training event in a conference room that seats about 180, and the speech intelligibility stayed consistent whether I was standing right in front of the speakers or 5 rows back. One of the first things you notice when you unbox the K8.2 pair is the weight. At 27 pounds each, they're definitely on the heavier side of portable, but the integrated handles are thoughtfully positioned so the box balances nicely when you lift it. I found that the weight actually works to my advantage when I'm setting them up on a wooden platform. They don't wobble as much as a lighter 12-inch model would, which means fewer surprises if you're dealing with uneven floors or outdoor concrete. If you're planning to carry them up a few flights of stairs or load them into a small SUV, budget a couple of minutes per speaker for the lift. It's a small trade-off for the added stability during a live gig. Now, let's talk about the built-in DSP processor. QSC's presets let you choose between a speech mode, a music mode, and a custom EQ that you can tweak on the fly. The 3-input mixer on the front panel is a lifesaver when you have a laptop, a mic, and a Bluetooth streamer all feeding into the same PA. I used the speech preset for a church youth group, and the voice came through with a smooth, natural tone that didn't need any extra equalization. Flip the dial to music, and the low-frequency response expands just enough to give a small band that punch without turning the venue into a bass-driven rumble. The 59 Hz to 20 kHz range is respectable for an 8-inch driver, and the waveguide helps keep the mids and highs clear, so vocals stay on top of a full drum kit. If you're the kind of user who likes to keep things simple, you'll appreciate that the K8.2 doesn't drown you in a sea of menus. The DSP is controlled by a single knob that cycles through the 3 presets, and a small LCD gives you visual feedback on the current setting. There's no need to pull out a laptop or a phone to adjust EQ on the fly, which is a relief when you're dealing with a crowd that's already noisy enough to make you forget your own voice. However, if you're a sound engineer who loves digging into parametric EQ, you might feel a little restricted. The presets are designed for speed, not deep customization. A common concern with powered speakers is how they handle power demands, especially if you're feeding them a full band or a DJ set. The K8.2's 2000-watt Class D amplifier is more than capable of delivering clean headroom. In my testing, I pushed the speakers to about 120 dB SPL in an outdoor patio setting, enough to keep a dance floor lively without hearing any distortion or compression. The amp also stays relatively cool. The built-in fan kicks in when needed, but isn't loud enough to be audible in the mix. For most small venue applications, you'll never need to worry about the amp overheating, which is a nice peace of mind compared to some budget units that start whining after an hour of use. So who should consider buying the K8.2? If you're an event organizer who routinely handles gatherings of 100,000 to 250 people, weddings, church services, corporate presentations, community theater productions, these speakers give you a reliable, all-in-one solution. The combination of decent low-end punch, clear mids, and the ability to run 2 units without needing an external crossover makes them a strong fit for anyone who wants a professional sound without hiring a full-time audio crew. They're also a